You don't get much more behind the scenes than this, and I love it because I am with an Emmy-nominated, multiple Gemini, like mega, I might as well say mega Gemini, a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, Geoff Dion, how are you?
I hardly recognize myself.
Oh, come on.
From your introduction.
You look fantastic.
Hey, so do you.
Oh, I'll pay you later.
Please.
Geoff Dion, ladies and gentlemen, and we are literally, well, this is the eve, if you will, of the Halifax ComedyFest.
Yeah, we're just setting up for the first 2 shows, which happen in the casino.
Right.
Here we have the beautiful Casino Nova Scotia.
Indeed.
And then we shoot in the lower deck, down on the waterfront, and we shoot in the Seahorse Tavern, one of Canada's oldest taverns.
Yes.
And then we have 2 deluxe soft seater galas in the Rebecca Cohen.
Okay.
For people who like soft seats.
Right. And lots of laughs. This whole thing is really, I mean, like 30 comedians, is that right?
Yeah, it varies every year. I think there's 32 this year.
Yeah.
They're all good. We have, I have this great job. I get to sit with, 4 other people in a room and we listen to comedians. We YouTube and we watch, DVDs that they send, and we basically laugh our asses off. And then we pick the ones we like. And, it's a committee thing. So there's the festival aspect, which is run by ESP Productions.
Yes.
And then there's the CBC television aspect, because it's shot for national broadcast.
I know. Well, and that's a little bit of extra pressure. I don't mind saying, like, we're here and we're in the middle of it, and we should
Pressure's good. Pressure's good.
Well, and so it is a big production, and you literally shoot all of those venues, yes?
We do. We shoot all comedians in all venues.
Wow.
All shooting all the time.
Nice.
It's incredible. and we so we gather a lot of tape.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of laughs.
Yes.
And then what we do for this particular series, it's 6 half hours on television, and we sort of pan for the nuggets of gold.
Right.
So we just pick out the very best sort of pieces. So other stand-up comedy shows on television, I won't mention them, have long sort of comedic sets, like 6-7 minute sets.
This is the gold.
And we just go for the gold, baby.
Right.
So our half hours are very fast paced and very fast cut, and the comedians look great because only their very best stuff gets in.
Right.
And everyone has a good time.
Now, Geoff, a fine art though you've got it down to after all these years, yes? Would you say?
It's kind of a craft. It's like basket weaving. Art. I don't know if it's art. It's like arts and crafts maybe. We've done this show a lot, and we have a format that we think really works.
Yes.
So when something's not broken, you don't fix it.
Yeah.
So we've done this show, I don't know, this is probably the 12th year or something we've shot it. I used to be at CBC, so I used to shoot it when I was at CBC, and now my company, an independent company, shoots it for the CBC.
Pilot Light Productions, shout out.
Pilot Light. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now before we just move on to your incredible roster of achievements, let's just throw some names at me, because this festival is packed with talent. Like, just give me somebody.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's
I
massive.
think Mark
It's massive.
I love Mark.
Well, Mark Critch is the host.
He is indeed. And he's doing the Rebecca Cohen.
Yeah, he hosts the Rebecca. Well, he's the host for every event, really. So no matter what event you go to, no matter what event you go to at the Halifax ComedyFest, you're going to see Mark Critch.
It's like free range.
And he'll sign your butt with a Sharpie or whatever you want. He's a super nice guy, really approachable. And so he introduces the festival at every show. And at the 2 galas at the Cohen, he actually does a set, and he hosts those shows. The shows here, everyone gets to meet Mark Critch, but then he throws to a different host. So each show is sort of hosted by a different comedian. So Mark Critch, great guy, funny guy, and a great face for the festival.
Indeed.
We have some favorites coming back, people that the audience always responds well to. Debra Digiovanni.
Yes.
Do you know Debra Digiovanni?
I do.
Funny woman.
I know.
Oh my God, funny.
Yeah.
And she's just so prolific, She just, material just pours out of her. We got a guy coming here from the States. His name is Bob Marley, and we had him here a couple of years ago, and I didn't know him, frankly. I just was part of the group that picked him based on a DVD that he sent.
Right.
Funny.
Yeah.
I mean, people falling off their chairs. I mean, we were watching him in the TV production truck, and people who work in television can be jaded and cynical because we've seen a lot. We see it a lot.
Yeah.
Crying with laughter, people filling their diapers. This guy Bob Marley is incredibly funny guy. Johnny Harris from Newfoundland, really sharp.
Yes, very funny.
Like cerebral.
Yeah.
But really funny guy. From New Brunswick, you got Tim Steeves from New Brunswick.
Shout out.
Tim Steeves, New Brunswick. He's a writer on Rick Mercer Report. So the festival
Yeah.
had this contest where anybody could get up at the mic and be funny, and there was a
Right.
panel of judges. It was like Last Comic Standing type thing,
Sure.
American Idol type thing, and a really funny guy from Halifax won. His name is Mark Zawatsky, and
Remember that name.
And he has earned himself a spot at the lower deck. So he's going to be shot for national television.
That's incredible.
Woohoo!
Just quickly, while we still have you, I want to talk about this incredible career, because I had a chance to look at your website, and it reads like, you've been everywhere.
I've been everywhere,
You
man.
really
I'm like the
have.
Hank Snow song.
I love
I've
your-
been everywhere. I've been Yarmouth, Truro,
Well, you're
Moncton.
from Yarmouth.
I was born in Yarmouth,
Yeah.
and I only lived there for 5 years, and then my dad worked for the Canadian government, and so we moved to England. So I grew up in England, and then I came back to Canada when I was 25, and then I've moved around ever since.
Right.
I have a very short attention span, and
But you're
and
perfectly suited for this. I mean, now, this hour has 22 minutes. Lots of work with Rick Mercer.
Yeah.
Lots of work with the East Coast Music Awards and things like that.
Yeah, I did all those things.
And-
It was a
and-
great run. I started out in news. I think you started out in news.
Thousands would argue. I don't, I only played
Journalist.
I
Journalist.
just pretended to be a journalist.
Journalist in denial.
Insert laughter here.
Totally in
while
denial.
You're doing the Comedy Fest.
So I did straight news for a long time.
Okay.
And then in 1993, This Hour's 22 Minutes was created, and they needed someone in that mix who spoke news.
Oh, right.
Right, because
Makes sense.
because we were going to parody, news.
Right.
So we needed someone who had the language of news and who knew how a newsroom worked.
Right.
That was me.
Neat.
So I sort of ran away and joined the circus. Like I was the executive producer of a news show, and then I quit. And they said, "You're doing what?" And I said, "I'm doing a comedy
What a
show."
great-
And they said, "For how long?" I said, "Well, it's 8-week run." 8 weeks. You couldn't get a job for 8 weeks. But I said, I think this one's going to go.
Yeah, roll the dice.
It has Murray Walsh, good. Kathy Jones, good. Greg Toomey, good. And this young guy, Rick Mercer, I think he's going to do all right. I think
Yeah.
nobody knew Rick at the time, and then the 8 weeks became a full season, and then I had a great run on 22 Minutes, and
Awesome.
did the Talking to Americans thing, and
Yes. I mean, who hasn't seen Talking to Americans? Awesome show.
Talking to America.
Ted Dumarid, Ottawa, Canada.
Given that 2001 has been declared the year of the senior citizen, we demand that the Government of Canada discourage the Canadian tradition of placing senior citizens on northern ice floes and leaving them to perish.
Yeah, I'll sign that.
So what are you studying again?
History.
Right, very good.
I definitely believe that senior citizens shouldn't be placed on ice floes.
And you're a prof here?
Yeah,
How many years?
9.
You like it?
Yeah, it's good.
Good school?
Yeah.
George W. Bush's favorite program, by the way.
Is that true?
Yeah, George W. loved it.
What's not to love? It was very funny. But talking about Rick Mercer, you were in Kabul.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Must have been.
Not a funny place, Afghanistan. Not inherently funny, but I went to Afghanistan twice to do shows for CBC
Yes.
television. The first one was a Christmas show in Kabul
Yeah, I
for the
love
troops.
that. Christmas in Kabul.
Christmas in Kabul,
You can see it on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. I have a T-shirt.
Do you?
I'm not wearing it today. And that had Tom Cochrane in it, and Daphne Doyle,
Yes.
and another musician, Kevin Fox, and Rick. So it was a variety show. It was an old-fashioned variety show.
Bob Hope album.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Bob Hope with
Nice.
Marilyn Monroe, except there was no Marilyn Monroe. But there was Daphne Doyle, who's awesome.
Dreamy. Let's have a minute and just appreciate Dabney.
Let's have a Daphne moment.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay, yeah.
At any rate.
Thank you for that, though.
Yeah.
I needed that.
It's great.
So that was a real sort of variety show. So, we bought Christmas trees, we bought presents,
Aw.
we brought messages.
Yes.
But before we left, we went to Petawawa and we went to different bases across the country, and we shot Christmas messages from little kids and wives sending messages to their husbands. And then in Kabul, at the base, we opened the laptop and we shot them as they watched their Christmas message from their kid, and their tears.
Yeah.
Oh my God, people bawling their eyes out. It was
Yeah.
amazing. So that was a sort of a comedy music show, which went over really well.
Right.
And then.
Did I see you on the wall of China on your website?
Yeah, I
Why
went to
were you
China.
there? Were you working or playing?
Why wouldn't you go to China?
know, I've not been.
Everybody should go to China.
Such a show off.
I've been to the Great Wall Restaurant in Halifax, and I really liked it. And I thought, well, the restaurant's good. Maybe the wall's even better.
I've heard about this big thing, and
Mark Rich was there with Sean Majumdar, and they were doing pieces for the Olympics for the sports coverage.
Okay.
And so I went right at the end of that assignment and hooked up with Mark and the cameraman who was already there, and we did a Danny Williams impression because, as you know, Mark Critch does Danny Williams almost as well as Danny Williams does Danny Williams, sometimes better than Danny Williams.
Aww.
And we went around Beijing pretending to be Danny Williams in like a limo, chauffeured limo. We were treated like VIPs.
Stop it. Oh, for real?
Oh, for real. Like, people thought he was Danny Williams. It was, it was probably illegal what we did.
I'm thinking.
Like he was treated as a head of state. We went to this one place here. There was a guest book, and he was given presents, and he front row seat.
Check with the UN. I'm quite sure you violated some sort of.
We definitely did.
Yeah.
Danny didn't mind though. Strangely,
Wow.
Danny
What
did
a
not
good
mind.
fella.
Yeah. And then I went back to Afghanistan a second time, and we did a stand-up show with Mark Critch and Sean Majumdar and three really good comedians. It was called Stand Up in Kandahar. And I think that was the single most rewarding show I ever worked on, for this reason. When you go to Kandahar, you're at the pointy end of a stick. There's a war going on,
Right.
and you're constantly reminded of it. You hear it and you see it.
Sure.
There's, fighter jets taking off all the time, and there's wounded, and there's, like you are in a war zone.
Right.
And for 2 hours, we were able to create this show, which was hugely attended
Yeah,
by
I
all the
bet.
Canadians and Americans and Dutch and Latvians and Brits and
Just-
Aussies.
Smidge of an escape. I
And
bet.
for 2 hours, we just lost, we just lost it. Rocket attacked twice during the show. Had to pause the show. Mark Critch had a great line. The sirens went off, and he said, "We'll be right back after this brief missile." But the audience, that was probably the most appreciative audience of
bet.
any show that we'd ever done.
Yeah.
We would have done that show for free. It was so rewarding, because I think those men and women, do such an incredible job
Sure.
out there, whether, not getting into
and
the
you
politics
had no
of the
idea
war.
of it until you're
No,
there. I mean,
until you see
can
it.
sort of see it on CNN and go, oh my
Yeah,
goodness, but
yeah.
I bet you it was something.
These are an amazing group of men and women doing those jobs. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just putting aside the politics of the war.
Yes,
but
indeed.
the men and women who do that work, I think, are awesome. And
argument.
to do a show for those people
Yeah.
was the greatest high of my professional life.
Very good.
Other than talking to you right now.
Oh my
Which is
God.
awesome.
Well, thank you. Now, listen, before I let you go, because, as I said, we celebrate the 4 Atlantic provinces. You're back here in the homeland. Why? What do you love about it, Geoff Dion? After being around the world, what does it do for you, being here in Nova Scotia?
Could you have a flag I could rep? I want to Nova Scotia
We'll
flag.
superimpose one over you now.
I love living here. I mean,
Yeah.
I've lived in lots of different places in the world.
Yeah.
I choose to live in Atlantic Canada. The people are beautiful. They're generous. We have a rich, vibrant culture. Like, I'm a music hound. I love music. Not a week goes by where I don't go see some live music, and it's an endless font of live music. I don't know if it comes out of the water, out of the ground, in the water. I don't know what it is. Living in Nova Scotia, particularly, I love because it's stress-free. There's no traffic jams in my life. There's just.
I love when they say rush hour. I mean, I lived in Toronto. It's like, come on, people.
Rush hour. It's like a 5-minute lineup at the Tim Hortons. That's my rush hour. I think we live in a beautiful part of the world. It's just drop dead gorgeous.
Yep.
There are no crooked arses here. I mean, if people get too high on their horse, they get knocked off their horse here in Atlantic Canada, because we don't put up with those people.
Right.
We do amazing work here. We do world quality work. I mean, this is a network, television show.
Right.
This is nothing rinky dinky here. So, the whole country's going to see this. It's as good or better than, any comedy anywhere else in North America.
Right.
So we're in a kind of a backwater, which is good from a sort of a lifestyle point of view. And yet, because of technology and because of the talent, and because of the spirit here, we do world-class work. And we don't have to fight people on the subway to do it.
Right.
I love living here. It's great.
Well, we're glad that you're here, and we thank you so much for taking the time.
Pleasure.
All right.
So
let's
people are
get
going
ready
to come to the
laugh.
comedy festival, right?
Indeed. Who would miss it?
There's a few seats left.
Is that true? I
Just a
can't
few.
imagine it.
Yeah, there's a few.
Get
But
online
you should
right
come.
Now. There's the website.
Yeah. Come
Thanks,
to the
Geoff.
festival. Ha.
Thank you.
Ha. Ha.